What's good, tribe? You know? So I was sitting here listening to DMX. This is the song I'm listening to. I'm gonna hear, right? Oh, I can't play it, can I? Copyright strike. 'Cause I might get a copyright strike. So you two don't play that. So in 1994, I went to prison. In 1994, I went to prison, and I remember talking to so in Michigan prisons, you talk to like a kind of like a counselor, right? And they kind of analyze where you are in your journey in prison, right? Make sure you're not going to you know, hurt yourself or hurt someone else, right? And so the guy asked me, and at the time I'm 17, and he asked me, he says, "What's your biggest fear? Your greatest fear?" And I said, "My greatest fear is that I grow up to be like my father." And he sat there. He said, "In what way?" Right? Because this man doesn't know me yet, right? He said, "In what way?" I said, "Well, my father was absent in my life." And I said, "That's my greatest fear, is that I am an absentee father." And he looked at me with the most sobering look. He said, "You do realize you become your father, right?" Now, at the time, my daughter was maybe months old. She was born in September 1994. October, November, I was headed to prison, right? So she was not even a full year old yet. And I realized I was going to spend the next 8 years not in her life. Exactly the kind of shit that my father did, right? Now, again, it wasn't like I was excited about this. This revelation hurt me. I was genuinely hurt behind this, man. And I sat there and I was more pissed than anything because this man was telling the truth. And so, because you're in back then, they had a place called Riverside. Riverside doesn't exist anymore. So Riverside had a section where you would, because Riverside reception. So Jackson receptions where older people went. Riverside receptions where anyone under the age of 21 went, right? So, and I'm in the reception area, and I just get pissed, and I throw my chair. You mother, and I'm so angry. I'm so angry. And I remember thinking how mad I was at my man. Now, at that point in my life, I would have told you that it was his fault I was upset. And not realizing that I was projecting. I was angry at myself and I didn't want to accept it. I didn't want to say the words that I was going to be a neglectful, absentee father. And the unfortunate thing is, as she got older, now if anyone wants to know, I went to prison in '94 for armed robbery. Her mother did not want her around me. So that was a whole nother uphill battle I had to fight. And it was, going to court, dealing with, the legal system, trying to see my daughter, trying to be a good father. I don't even know what the hell that is. Right? Mind you, I went to prison at 17. Right? I come home 8 years later, 7 years, 9 months later, almost 8 years later. I still don't know what it means to be a father or even a man for that matter. And that became a whole problem, man. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I wish there was an answer to what I was going through, and I never had one. And I didn't have a father I could lean into to talk to me, to express to me what I was dealing with, what I was going to be facing as a new father. And that night, as I'm talking to the man in prison, I remember sitting there crying in tears because I realized that I had become exactly what my father was to me, an absentee father. Now, the unfortunate part about that is once I got out of prison, got my life together, her mother made it almost impossible for me to, be in her life. But um, those early years, man, was so hard for me, man. And so DMX's song "Slipping," right, is one of the songs I remember listening to, and it brings back it brings up so many emotions, man. Thinking about the words, he talks about there was a point in his life where him and his mother wasn't seeing eye to eye, and because of that, he had to leave. That's my story. I left home at 14, 15 years old, man. I went to the streets at about 14, 15 years old because I just couldn't, my mother and I would, we was always bumping heads, man. But I'm saying all that to say this, man. No matter where you are in relation to your relationship with your child, if you're willing to, you can repair that. The unfortunate thing is that, relationship with my daughter is so, it's so destroyed. It's so, the word I wouldn't use, you know, pitiful that there's no coming back from that. It isn't. But if you are in a position where you can still reconnect with your child, you can still be a better father to your child. Figure that out, man. Figure out what that is and go after that, man. Like, work on that, right? And it's gonna take time, right? Especially if your child is still young. My daughter's 30, right? So, she's a fully grown adult. Um, but that doesn't mean that, at some point we can't, become cordial. I haven't spoken to her in a very long time. But, married 20 years, two amazing my two amazing children, a grandchild, raising them and being the kind of father that I wasn't to my oldest, gives life a little more meaning, gives you a little more insight into the things I could have done. And the unfortunate part is that all those years, you know, with not being in her life, I can never get back. I can never, I can try to say, hey, I wish things were different. I could try. But that moment, man, that moment in prison, I never forgot it. I never ever forgot it. This was wow, it's 30 years ago. This is 31 years ago, y'all. And I still remember it like it happened just yesterday. And no matter where you are, man, right? If you are in a position where you can actually reconnect with your child, do so, man. Do so right now. No matter how young they are. Man, I don't know what to do. Figure it out. I don't give a damn. Figure that shit out, man. Because our children need us. And like I said, my daughter and her mother, poisons her against me. So the last 20 years has been just increasingly harder than it should be. But if you're in a position as a father where you can get ahead of that, right? Despite how the mother is, right? My daughter's mother is, she's tried to kill me several times, had me try to run me over, had me locked up several times. Like, she's done the worst things to me to keep me from my daughter. And if you are someone who's not in that position, but it may get to that point, get ahead of that, man. Do whatever you can, as much as you can, for as long as you can, until you can't. And, unfortunate, I had to stop. I had to stop being around her because her mother made it impossible for me to be her father. But no matter how young you are, no matter where you are in your journey, if you're a new father, you're a father who's still trying to figure out how to become a father, wherever you are, man, make those necessary little changes, man. Make those little adjustments. Try, at least try. At the very least, try. Because no one can ever say you didn't try. and then try, like really try, right? Like there's actual police report and evidence of the shit I went through trying to be in my daughter's life, trying to fight against her mother and trying to be in her. All I wanted to do was be in her life. I wasn't trying to be like take custody. I just wanted to be in her life. That's all I wanted. I wanted to be an active, present component of her life, and her mother made that impossible. And if you're someone who you're not to that point yet, but it may get there, get ahead of it. Try and let your child know when they get older, right? I tried. I did try. And then show the receipts. Like, look, this is me trying. This is me getting up, every week going to the courts. This is me calling the courts. This is me dealing with your mama. This is me talking to the police. This is me filing several reports. I can't tell you how many times I went to, and this is something, man. I actually went to front of the court. I went inside the front of the court building and filed a motion to see my daughter. Several of them. And then when her mama would decide that, she wasn't happy today, I couldn't see my daughter. So I would call the police like, hey, I have an order to see my daughter. This is my parenting time. Today, I have an order to see my daughter. And the cops will pull up. And simply because I had a felony and was on parole, they would tell me, we have to honor it. This is a court order visitation from the courts. You don't have to honor this? And what I'm going to say, I'm on parole. What I'm going to say? All the cop got to do is say I said X, Y, and Z. He caught me doing X, Y, and Z. Now I'm back in prison. And that's what I had to deal with, man. That was my life. And if you're somebody who doesn't have to deal with that, man, and you still have an opportunity to be in your child's life and to be the kind of father that your child needs you to be that. Work on it, man. Seriously, work on it. And let's just say, right? Let's say a situation is like mine. You work on it and you truly try to give your all, and as a result, you truly try to give it your all, and as a result, your child still resents you. Her mother still makes it impossible for you, and then you pull away from it. Like, hey, I can't risk my life or my freedom. I can't be involved in this. I gotta step back. This was the same thing I did. Like, I can't look. This is getting dangerous. I just want to be in her life. Give you a quick little story. One time I call my daughter and I say, hey, I want to come pick her up. I said, I can either give you money and that'll be your gift. It was like a couple $100, or I'll come get you. We can hang out. I said, but you have to tell me what you want. Not what your mama want, not what anybody else is telling you. You have to tell me what you want. And what was unfortunate is my daughter has never been the kind of woman who had any self-esteem. And so unfortunately, she wasn't strong enough internally to say, hey, I feel like X, Y, and Z. So it was either her mother or whoever else was in her ear telling her what to say and what to do. And she never had the opportunity to be her own woman, And she couldn't have been no more than, 20, 21 at the time. She was an adult. She wasn't an adult. She wasn't a child. She was an adult. And I said, okay, so what you decide? She said, well, I want to hang out with you. I said, you sure? She said, yes. I said, now, you need to let me know if you're absolutely certain about this. I'm going to hang up and I'm going to call you tomorrow to confirm. I want you to think about this. I don't need to think about it. I said, listen, I'm going to call you tomorrow and then we'll go from there. Okay, fine. So I hung up the phone. I called her the next day, give her 24 hours to think about it. Same answer. I want to hang out with you. I said, okay. I said, I'll be there. And I told her what we have planned. I want to take her out to the movies. I want to go. There was like a little golf cart place. I want putt golf place back in the day that I want to take her to, right? And was going to just eat some ice cream and have a good time, right? So I pull up to my baby mama's house, and her boyfriend's there, right? Now, I'm there to see my daughter. I don't care about anything else. The boyfriend comes out, yelling at me. I don't know this dude. I've never met him before in my life. I don't know you. So I'm dumbfounded. Okay, what's the issue? He's, man, why you here to see my daughter? Or why you here to see my girl? I'm here to see my daughter, right? That's it. I just want to see my daughter. So I get back in the car, and mind you, I rented a car for the day or for the weekend anyway. Um, I said, listen, man, I'm just here to see my baby. I just want to see my daughter, and I'll leave. She come out, my baby mama come out, yelling, I can't believe you. I said, well, I called you. I sent you an email, and I text you, and I told you I'm coming. I called Kaisha, it's my daughter. So I called my daughter, and I told her, hey, I'm coming. Like, it's not like I wasn't going to show up. I called you. I said, I'm here. I can't believe you show up to my house with this bullshit. I'm like, wait. What? Didn't do pulls I thought y'all out on me. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, whoa. Bro, listen, y'all, I'm dumbfounded by what's happening. I said, okay, what's happening? What did I miss? You gotta leave. Bro, I'm here to get my daughter. And on top of that, it was my court order scheduled time with her. So I'm here to get her because the court said I can, and I'm her father, right? That should mean something. So while all that's happening, my daughter in tears, her mother then looks at her and says, do you want to go with him? My daughter bows her head and says, no. So I said, listen, why are you trying to coach her? I said, baby, come on, get in the car. I don't want to go now. What? Because of what your mama just said? And then dude chime in. Hey, man, you heard what's happening? I said, man, listen, man. I'm here to get my daughter. Whatever y'all got going on in your relationship has nothing to do with me. I want my daughter. Man, listen, when I tell y'all that's all I wanted, and that's all I wanted. I just wanted to be her father. That's it, man. And I remember thinking to myself, I can't lose my life because of these people. And at the time I was married. I've been married about 8-9 years at this point. So I'm not here to get, my baby mama. I'm married. I've been married. I'm like, man, I said, listen, man, I just want to see my daughter. And I remember getting in the car, y'all, and crying my goddamn eyes out. I was in tears. I was so hurt behind that, man. Because I genuinely just wanted to see my daughter. That's it. That's all. You can't be here because, and then, that's that whole dumbass narrative that, the baby daddy is always trying to get with the baby mama. Look, nasty, gross. I want to see my daughter. That's it. And I'm married. Bro, I'm married. What are y'all talking about? And that put me in a space, man, where I said I had to pull back. And, it was every time I would talk to my daughter, it was like talking to her mom. She would say things. I would go, why are you saying those things to me? Stop. And I'm like, I don't understand, man. And I had to pull myself away from that, man. And if you're a father not dealing with that, man, or you prior to be dealing with it a little bit, try to figure that shit out, man. Especially if your children are young, figure that out, man. Seriously. Our children need us. And it's these old broken ass bitter baby mamas that destroy relationships with their children and then blame the father because he can't deal with your bitter brokenness. Well, if you was a real man, you can deal with me. No, then I'm not a real man. I'm not into getting shot, losing my life, getting my ass kicked. Yeah, something else, man. Her graduation. My daughter's graduation, right? She tell me she don't want me to show up. I'm showing up. So I showed up. My baby mama, her boyfriend, and his friends are out there. I'm like, okay, whatever, right? So he run up on me. I said, man, listen, man. I just want to see my daughter. I don't understand why you are so against that. I just want to see my daughter. That's all. I see her walk across the stage, get her diploma. I'm done. It's over. I'm out. That's all I want to say. I don't want to talk to nobody. I just want to see that. I want to get that on. I want to record that, get that on video, and I'm out. It's not what happened. Paws were laid on me. Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got my ass in my car, whooped ass. I had a well whooped ass. Now mind when I tell you I didn't get a single lick in, whooped my ass, whooped my ass. I got in that car and I left. But can't nobody ever say I wasn't there. They can never say that. So if you're a man, you actually are trying to figure out how to navigate that, man. Get the courts involved. Seriously, get the courts involved. Get the law involved. Get a judge involved. When you got receipts, man, ooh, you got receipts. They got forced to stand on those receipts. Unfortunately, I was on parole, so I couldn't really make them do nothing. Right? Was it legal? Probably not, bro. If you have an opportunity to be a better father, be it. Right? Because your child needs you. Trust me. In the long run, they're going to thank you. It's not going to be pretty getting there, but as it was all said and done, they're going to thank you. I'm out, tribe. Peace.